Hello and welcome. My name is Mark Blatstein, the physician founder of Physician Pre-Sentence Report, Physician Prison Consultants, pprsus.com. And again, my phone, 240-888-7778. Every week I have a new article that will come up, federal charges, BOP news updated weekly. And so we'll go to another link. And it's the same thing, but a closer inspection, federal charges, BOP news updated weekly. Early release to home confinement. Are you going to be eligible? All of this you should know. The devil is in your preparation for your pre-sentence interview. Your attorney needs to have, and you need to know and have all your information ready so that if you are eligible, you want to do the things that are going to make you eligible. It begins with proper preparation for your pre-sentence interview. The previous YouTube covered the Sentencing Project, Least Legal Foundation, solitarywatch.org. I'm now going to start with Federal Legal News. It's another research tool that I use. And so humane incarceration and meaningful rehabilitation. It seems that Director Marshall, June 17th memo to fully implement First Step Act and Second Chance Act these reduction benefits should be stacked and conditional placement dates should be drive timely referrals. Unfortunately, still there's a degree in efficacy within the Bureau of Prison staff. So the Bureau of Prison has literally had to undergo reorganization, including regional directors and wardens. But regarding poor medical care, you should know that if in fact you have a medical problem, but even if you don't, you want to make sure that you go into prison. At least you have been to a doctor and you know from being seen medically before you enter prison that you're either okay, you're not okay, what blood tests you need. You need to have a baseline for yourself. More important, if you have chronic medical condition, diabetes, if you're immunocompromised, all of this is important to have a medical record, comprehensive. Everything should be included in your medical record, from MRIs, CAT scans, X-rays, EKGs, all the reports you've had for surgeries. All of it needs to be organized and provided before you get to your pre-sentence interview. Because what's happening is that if in fact you need to see an outside specialist, and that outside specialist, that consult you go to the outside specialist, and that specialist makes medical recommendations for you. Please know that the Bureau of Prison is not obligated to follow their own medical specialist recommendations. It's crazy, but this is just the way it is. And so there are no immediate legal remedies to address the most egregious personal injuries and deaths, such as failure of the prison to maintain medical alert systems and units, especially at nights or weekends, failure of staff to timely respond to medical emergencies, failure to have emergency plans in place if there's a medical crisis, deliberately understating, in other words, their medical record, their charting, and how they're treating you is beneath the standard of medical care if you have a chronic medical problem. Falsifying medical records, it's in clear violation of every law there is. And yet it's very difficult to bring this up, in a legal case. And the lack of supervision of medical personnel contributing to outright medical errors. And so the BOP wants you to go through, it's called a BP 9 to 11, it's the administrative remedy process. But what do you do if you're just not, you are too ill to go through with this? If you are able to do it, you have to follow this administrative remedy process to the letter, and you need a calendar because you have a certain amount of days between when you have a BP 9 to a BP 10, BP 10 to BP 11. And if you don't follow those days, the Bureau of Prisons definitely is not going to help you. Using Thompson, they were communicating with Federal Legal News that the medical staff was lowering care levels to keep inmates at the facility. In the past 2 months, there have been 2-3 more, and 3 more inmates are expected to, hopefully they don't pass on before they're transferred or after they're transferred. Here's what these letters are saying. 8 inmates with advanced prostate cancer are receiving no treatment. Over 25 with large hernias experiencing vascular issues, discoloration, and are just managing their conditions without care. I can tell you that from when I was in a facility back in 2006, the guy had a prostate the size of a watermelon. I mean, it wasn't that big. But the thing is, they weren't taking him out. Prisoners face additional misery due to a system that appears to punish them for seeking essential medical care. In this particular indivision, he needed a colonoscopy, so he was placed in isolation, the shoe, for a cleaning procedure that ending 2 days in a cell with temperatures 80 degrees Fahrenheit, a bus trip with 10 to 17 inmates that were shackled together. They arrived at the hospital around 5 or 6 in the morning, and they didn't return till 5 or 7:30 evening. In the eves, the meals consisted of peanut butter sandwiches, potato chips, and one bottle of water, and they weren't allowed to use the bathroom. I'm sure this is not uniform throughout all prisons, but the thing is that every warden is in charge of their domain, of their facility, and it just depends on how much effort they're putting into that. And so the Bureau of Prisons had this evaluation of issues surrounding inmate deaths in the Bureau of Prisons, and this was done in 2024. For other legal information that is more legal in nature, I'm not an attorney, but you can reach out to Derek Galena. Here is his mail address and email. The Bureau of Prisons in the news. The Bureau of Prisons, the director and the deputy director have been trying to make improvements, but it's hard when you're going up against years of no one paying attention to the details. And so they have a national resource team. The leadership all got together and they had a question and answer with the deputy director of the Bureau of Prisons. This was followed, or this preceded, and this followed that with a 2025 Correction Leadership Summit at the end of December 2025. And so they went through, and you can go and read the whole thing right here on my website. But essentially, the director of the Bureau of Prisons was making it known. I published months ago that if you're a warden and you're not, if food, if the warden is allowing bad food to be served with insects and mold and whatnot to the inmates, why isn't the warden eating that same food? And the director of Bureau of Prisons, Director Marshall, was correctly irate at that particular moment in time. And again, you need to go back to my 2025 post regarding that. We're going to go into Above the Law, the best of 2025. I couldn't help myself here. Georgetown Law, they responded to a letter from Ed Martin, who was the I guess pseudo attorney for the Department of Justice. In March 2025, Ed Martin, the interim U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia, sent a threatening letter to Georgetown Law Dean William Tresner, demanding that the law school halt all diversity, equity, and inclusion. All I can suggest is please read this. It will bring a smile to your face because, as the title says, the response was F off all the way to Mr. Martin. And nothing has happened since then. But a great letter from the dean of this law school, a great law school. Medical. It happens to be that I'm licensed in the state of Virginia, and this came out about a week ago. It was recommended training and continuing education for all physicians, no matter the specialty, regarding autism. And so there's a number of cases where it's misdiagnosed. The attorneys either are unfamiliar with autism spectrum disorder. The courts are unfamiliar with autism spectrum disorder. But either way, it's important to bring this up if, in fact, it applies, because it's becoming more and more known universally among the medical community and the lay community, which includes your judge, hopefully your attorney, and the individual, the probation officer who is writing your pre-sentence interview, and then the official pre-sentence report. And so this was a wonderful thing to see that, and I would think other medical societies around the country are also bringing this topic up to the physicians in their individual states. Hepatitis C is associated with increased mortality among incarcerated hospitalized persons in Massachusetts. And most likely, this is going to apply, I would think, across the country to both state and federal cases. And ultimately, it says what I've written or highlighted here is access to these treatments in prison carceral settings is limited, if available at all. And so it's a very good article and especially appropriate if you have a medical condition, you contacted hepatitis V virus, you're not getting treated for it, or if you're refusing treatment, well, then the onus is on you. But if they're not attempting to institute preventative type care with vaccines and other medical modalities, then compassionate release, Second Chance Act can be applicable to you. I hope you found this healthy. This is as of January 3, the update for early for federal charged BOP news updated weekly. Today's date, it's the 3rd. Should anything pop up additionally on either the 4th or 5th, I will add it. But right now, I cover from the Sentencing Project, Lisa Legal Foundation, Solitary Watch, Federal Legal News, BOP and the News Above the Law, and medical issues. Thank you very much for paying attention. I appreciate you listening in today, and please share if you feel the need applies. Again, thank you for listening.